Abdul-Alim. This is our second session on what we call the grand jury effect. You know, like we're presenting a case, and we are presenting not like the European grand jury, but we're actually everything we are presenting is actually basically is written down. So that means we was forecasting, we knew what we was doing, we were studying, or this just something that happened, you know. Like if we say that in one of our statements, As-Sabiqun policy statement and goals for 2005, says raise funds for property on MacArthur Boulevard, secure all necessary renovation permits, pay off by the first week in February 2005, and I have right here $48,000. Okay. I have written down here what cash. I gave them 2 cash payments and 1 cashier's check, one for $17,684, the other one for $19,515. That was in cash. The other was $8,974. Okay, I know that because it's January the 27th, 2005. I know it because I write everything down. You know, it's actually, I don't write everything down, but I write most things down to keep a record. Also, for what we're doing, if we came out and said what was happening, just talking, the people would think we was crazy. Because no one has endured this stuff, this deep, this long. This is a record of endurance. Malcolm didn't have it because they killed him right away. As soon as he changed to so-called Sunni Islam, he was dead within a year. You know, Martin Luther King, these were young people, 39 years old. All of them was 39 when they achieved martyrdom. They're the highest level of conscious martyrs we have. But what we have to do in our time is like Jesse Owens ran a track thing in 9.6 or something like that at the Berlin Olympics in 1936. High school kids run that now. It took them years to break the mile. But after they broke the mile, 43 people broke the mile almost right away. Now high school kids run the mile, you know, 4-minute mile. Okay, so now for us, what does that mean for the movement? That means we have to break records. And the more, let's say, backwards and isolated and insulated that the community is, the more challenges we have to face. Because we have to do exactly what we're doing, teaching them and showing them how to do this job, that it can be done. And that's a little bit what we'll talk about tonight. Because the lady, Miss Umar, I was thinking about that all day, well, a lot of part of the day. It's the power of the Zionist. And the Zionist in this society exercise astronomical power over people because those people are tied to the system. They are linked to the system. But we're not linked to the system. So when the Zionists come after us, they've been coming after us for a long time. Permit Muslim enclave only. This is by Daniel Pipes. He's talking about a place in Little Rock, and he's talking about our place here in As-Sabiqun, which describes itself as an Islamic movement or organization founded by abdul-alim Musa, based in Washington, D.C. and Oakland, announces in his homepage an intent to establish Islamic homes and build model communities where Islam is lived. What the heck is wrong with that? They have Irish communities, Italian communities, Mexican communities. They move on purpose like that. One of their homeboys move in, then they move, hey man, move next to me. Pretty soon, that's how neighborhoods develop. But here they are challenging the Muslims' right to have a neighborhood. Okay, now, first of all, think about where are we really? Where are we at in this process? We have dealt with more Zionism than anybody in the United States. I mean, we have. Because of our position. And the Zionists, we dealt with a presidential advisor. What was the old guy on TV? His name was Sean Hannity. He's the one that's telling Trump what to do. If they listening to him, they ain't going nowhere. But when we was on this program, we had to play it not cautious, but we had to not whip him too bad or him recognizing that he's been being whipped. You know, so it was subtle. He didn't realize it till the next day. The people called him, and then he called me on the phone and said, I'd like to have a radio interview with you. I said, sure. So I was down in Houston. I went down there for a program. It was almost the next day or the day after. It probably was the next day. So everybody was gathered around the library. The library was a glass room, and I was in there for quiet when I'm talking to him. And he's talking, and I'm cutting loose now because this is a radio, and you ain't gonna. And then we listened to it in the car. When they put it on, guess what? He was talking, and he had the mute button on when I was talking, because one of the brothers is an artist, radio guy. He said, Imam Musa, he had the mute button on you, because we saw you all talking and responding. Right. But you are this and you are that. And you would think I was just sitting there. Right. Of course, didn't nobody hardly hear it. It didn't wipe out none of what happened the day before. Right. So that's the way they play it. Right. Okay, so whether it's Sean Hannity, Daniel Pipes, I called Daniel Pipes, I don't know if you saw it, it was on one. Yeah, I called him out on from Tehran and all that. I said, yeah, you've been talking all that stuff. I said, you can meet me at any university, maybe that in Philadelphia, and we can get on with this business. I'm not going to respond to Imam Musa because of his attitude or something. Right, right. He ain't going to respond because he'll get the doo-doo slapped out of him. Because the only thing that gives them power is wealth and fear, the fear of loss. The people are afraid to lose something. But when you ain't got nothing to lose, like us, well, we couldn't say you ain't got nothing to lose. You know, if you think about it, right now, we're just coming out of this period. But look right here, we have 8 pieces of property right here in DC. Of course, some of it looks like a junkyard, but that'll be okay. We'll tighten it up. You know, I'm saying that nobody else has no 8 pieces of property, all paid for. I don't know anybody. Do you know any African? I don't know any African Americans. And then the big pieces of property there in California. We're doing very well and got cases ready to go before the people. Well, we didn't really set them up. So what's happened with us is all this stuff that work. Design fitna. Design your own fitna. You see what I mean? And part of that design fitna is to really sell wolf tickets to these Zionists, to just whoop them so bad that they're actually afraid. Y'all afraid of us. What are you talking about? If you wasn't afraid, you'd have us debating on you debate people you know you can whoop. But they ain't gonna debate nobody that's not afraid of them, because their tongue don't be tied. No, they don't. What are you talking about? And they don't know what you're gonna say. The guy down in Atlanta on Channel 2, I don't know if you remember, he came here, it was a program on Imam Jamil. He had 2 programs.
I remember you talking about it.
Okay. So he put those 2 programs on. He said the first night his producer called and said, "Is Musa all right?" The second day, here's why. They had a scale of 1 to 5 or something. Everybody else had 1.7, you know, all the other ABC, CBS. And ours, the first night, had 4, and the next night had 5. So the next night, he said, man, the producer called and he said, Musa. You know, I said, well, alhamdulillah. He said, anytime you in Atlanta, just stop on by. You got an open, it was about Imam Jamil. The thing about it though, Imam Jamil's people was calling, say, gotta take it easy. I said, take it easy, what's wrong with you? I said, he's in the prison for the rest of his life. What do you mean? He's got life without possibility of parole. He's in Ad Max over there. What problem can we produce for him? We can't do nothing but do some good for him. But anyway, so we looked at the behavior of the Zionists, and I believe we'll not only these CD, DVDs, and what have you, but we will evolve to at least a 3-volume book. You know, I mean, we're going to put the writings together before, like the other. If we just put out the writings we got on As-Sabiqun, it will still be up to date. Yeah. They're well written too. They're well written. So, I was talking about the amount of stuff. Our name is on the list, Masjid al-Islam. From so far back, don't nobody even remember. One of them is 80, way back in the 80s. But this one says, 2 delegations from the U.S. took part in that conference in Tehran. The first delegation was headed by Muhammad al-Asi, the Sunni prayer leader in Washington, D.C. The second delegation, I'm skipping, was headed by abdul-alim Musa, the Shia Friday prayer leader from Mustadafin, that means the oppressed. They done got me mixed up with a mosque in Washington State. Mustadafin, you know, the poor, the needy, the weak. Yeah, it says the Shia Friday prayer leader of the Mustadafin, that means the oppressed mosque in Washington. It's Washington, but it's Seattle, Washington. And anyway, that was associated with Tehran. But it goes on, and the name of this book, you can see, is Target America. That means that there's a target on America, and there's people coming out. This is way before Daesh, ISIL, or anybody. This was from Jump Street. This thing came out. And remember, we did a program on the World Trade Center #1. I don't know if you remember that. Hadari and Muhammad al-Asi and we was telling them, no, these people did that. And that's the way that goes. So, the Triangle of Terror, USA, Zionist State of Israel, Saudi Arabia. You got to remember, nobody attacks the Zionist state in America. The Muslims, maybe a few people. Do you hear of a few people here and there that goes after imams that mention the Zionist state a little bit here and there?
No. Every now and then you might hear someone mention it, but
on the internet?
Yeah, on the internet.
On the internet, but I'm talking about in khutbahs, I'm talking about
not directly, not in direct reference. They'll talk about might bring up occupied Palestine, you know, help the Muslims in Palestine. They might say that during the prayer, but outside of that, no.
Well, see, look, we see what they're doing in Palestine, and it's wrong. We see what they're doing in the Golan Heights, stealing oil and everything else is wrong. We see what the Israelis are aiding and helping the so-called terrorists, feeding them, giving them medical care.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, all of that.
Right.
And we don't like that. We're not going to sit still and say, oh, that's okay. You know, that's okay. No, we're going to say, no, we don't like that. We're not for that at all. That's the least we can do here in the United States of America. Mustaqbal al-Haramain, that's the future of the Haramain, Mecca and Medina. I have a passport photo on here, a Hajj visa. So you can see it's in Arabic and everything now. You can see that's a young picture too. I think that's about 88. When that Hajj uprising and killing of all the Iranians was 87. It was 87. I either sent my passport or I took my passport to LA. That's where the consulate was. They sent it back to me, but it was after Hajj. It had a Hajj visa and everything. You know, Hajj, I said, I don't think I'm going. I said, I'm not going to do no Khashoggi stuff. These people are brutal. If I go over there, they can say, yeah, nigga, we got you. Shoot, this couple of sheikhs. One was from Libya, Sheikh Mabruk. It was way back in 82. Man, Sheikh Mabruk went over there for Hajj. He was just doing Jamaat al-Tabligh work. Either he, Saudi Arabia, or the Libyans came, got him, took him for a walk, and he was cut up and put in a briefcase. I'm not going to volunteer. You know, they done already told me what they think about me. They done already made all the offers and counter offers and hey, you got it good. They didn't come by and looked and smelt around. Not a chance. The triangle of terror. That's what we believe is the triangle of terror. The United States of America, Zionist State of Israel, and the Saudi Kingdom. When this came out, it was still hidden. Well, this was 213, but the other one was 211.
Now everybody's talking about it.
Huh?
Now everybody's talking about it.
It's clear, though.
Right.
It's clear that the Saudis is bombing Yemen. The Saudis have just put another $1 billion in the pocket of these people. It's not hidden anymore. Mm-hmm. But see, that's one of the things that's not good. Some of the things they do here, we all see them. Most of the movements, most of the activities, whether it's you know who that have Mighty Brave back in it, and it's, all of those people, whatever they are, they're not for truth and justice. If they was, there's certain people you would have around you. If you exclude them like everybody else, then you got an agenda. And I remember them when they went over to Iraq and they came back in the early years talking about depleted uranium, and the ex-attorney general is ahead of them, right? That's clear. There's no ex-FBI, there's no ex-CIA. They just moved to another open step, that's all. I told them right here, I said, if you want to get close to some of the Iraqi ulama, I'll put you in contact. They didn't want to know, they got their own agenda. When they brought us on board, they thought that they was going to manage us, and that we was going to be associated with, we got to be on stage. You know how everybody was so, and I told them, don't worry about that. We'll clean up this, we'll do that. So all we need is 2-3 minutes on stage. When we was all out in black and everything, tell the truth. Don't nobody remember nobody but us. That's all they remember. They don't remember nobody else but us. As-Sabiqun. Yeah, the men in black, they was there, man. Y'all was looking good. That's all they say. That's exactly what they say. So, let's get back to the track with you. So, you know, not only was 48,000, but when certain people took over out there in California, we paid all the bills during that period. Now, during Abdul-Malik's time, we considered him able to take care of the fundamental bills, you know, teachers' salaries and all, which he did. And he got a good hustle on the side for himself. But I would say from 2009, 2008, up to 2000, for about 5 years there, we put $35,000 in the account. My account, Mukhtar talking about I was stealing. Well, he could return the $35,000 because all the bills that he paid there, he paid them out of the account that we had set up. He didn't put no money in that account. I put all the money in that account. Okay. Now, we're waiting for some good days next week, and we'll not only add these on there and have a couple of nice DVDs, but we'll go back to care. Yeah, we're gonna give them the nice attention that they deserve. You know, we're gonna actually ask them and show pictures. Now, show us what and how this is an internal affair. Here's the Oakland Police Department, here's the FBI, here's everybody involved. Now, how is that an internal? I said, if the FBI want to attack you, they do it with a Negro. I said, those people are Afro-Zionists. I was going to ask you about a video. Do you remember the video that's on the website where, because some of you told me it was difficult for you to watch because of the way it was, they was approaching me. Do you remember when they're attacking, they're rushing the Masjid? They're rushing the door. And I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I said, oh, that's fine. That's the best one. You know why? Why is the best? Because I see every night I was talking to Tufel on the phone. Especially during that time that Oakland played a special part in my personal development, spiritual development. Why? Because that's what the trend I'm on. I'm saying, hey, yeah, they just did this, and this is how I feel about that, da, 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 da. And it shows an African-American imam trying to hold back a wave of Afro-Zionists and Arabs coming to, they're not there now, but that's what they was doing. The problem they had, they thought they was going to snap their finger and do one or two of those things, and we would respond. They don't know long range. They don't know protracted struggle. You talking about people being in a panic, they're in a panic. They're in a panic right this minute. Yeah, because it's gone past what part of that head attack was to get me to move, finally get me to do something. What they wanted me to do. No. We do everything. Can you imagine? They thought they'd get this stuff going, it'll be under wraps. They can keep it within the framework of a few of the Muslims. And Imam Musa will be overwhelmed because all the numbers are on our side. He is by himself, finished. So we are dominant. Therefore, we will dictate the whole process. That didn't work. That didn't work at all. Now, 6 years later, now it's moving through the system, through the society. They don't know what the BGF is going to do. They don't know what, they don't know. It's all throughout this prison system now. It's everywhere. When they had it where everybody that I was talking to was on their team, is one thing. But now, it's done broke out of that arena. They are in a panic. That's the reason they call me all the time. Please watch this, please watch. I said, now they texting and sending messages with phone numbers. Yeah, I can call their phone number at a time. Please watch this. And they even said, God's going to punish you for telling all those lies on us. I said, it's hitting them hard. Because remember, everything they said, everything, well, I believe that everything they said is a 100% lie. They have not told the truth about nothing. They just haven't. And now they're getting phone calls. Some Negroes getting phone calls. Hey man, what you doing? What's happening with you? Who is he? Who is that nigga, man? What? Hey man, what they up to? What y'all, that's what's happening to them. We'll carry it a little longer. We'll straighten up our business when we get ready. They wanted it, they got it. They wanted to be big, they wanted to be tough, they wanted to be, we bringing the big Imam down, that's what they was thinking. We bringing Musa down. Y'all couldn't do it. He said even about Abdul-Malik. Abdul-Malik was a punk. That's what he was saying. He said Abdul-Malik was a punk because he just wrote his resignation and then it snapped that they did it too fast. So then they come back with him. He's going to take over that spot and he's going to manage it. But he's going to put pressure on me. So he thought. He's going to make life miserable and hard. Well, you see how hard and miserable it is. You see what I do every day, stroll along through the hills and eat ice cream. That's about all I'm telling you. That's design fitna is when you design something and you get what you want. They produce design fitna. We've designed it. We're getting exactly what we want, even better. Nobody thought they would just go that far but they did. And they took the whole Oakland Police Department with them. They took the whole legal system. The judges, everybody. When I'm in court out there, it's just a misdemeanor. $35 ticket at worst. Jury trial, hours. 60 people to choose a jury from. And our jury, the white guys from the professors from Berkeley, they got rid of them off the jury in a hurry. Well, the only thing I would want to know is why are we here? Why are we here? What's the purpose of this? So you gotta go. It was 3 professors from UC Berkeley. They got rid of all of them just in case. Because they was thinking, like a misdemeanor. A trespassing case? You mean like you walked on, and there was a tank there with machine guns on it and stuff? The guys there, that's what they're just a minute, brother. Just a minute now. Police on one case jumping through the window. They put everything on there. The guy wrote this and that. They said, you had a special meeting? Yeah, we had a board meeting. How did you have a board meeting? Well, Imam Musa called a meeting, a regular Sunday meeting, and we had it after that. Well, was he there? No, he wasn't there. Did you post 2 weeks ahead of time? Did you post, if you're going to have that kind of meeting? Did you post it that's anywhere? 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a board meeting. We're going to have an election. No. Well, and these accounts, what did you do here? This looks like a computer, called it a computer-generated something or other, authorization that your wife signed. And the bank authorized you to get on that thing? Not only that, but 3 or 4 of the brothers was out at the bank. They arrested Mukhtar the day before, trying to get in my account. Then the next day they gave him the account. It's just stupid. It's stupid. It don't make no difference. You can win that case. I can win that case. I can win that case. You know. Well, what about this? He was trying to get the name on the deed changed to his name, but he could only get service. You know, like the agent. He go down to the state, to the county, and tell them, I'm the officer of service. So they would type his name on it and then send it to him. They said, but, and then they had a lady testifying from the county office. He said, no, we told him that if you can't change the name on the deed, you can only change the name for service. But anybody could be for service, but you can't change the name on a deed unless you get a new deed, unless you sell it to somebody else and you get a new deed. So that's the only way you can. So anyway, it's been exciting. Now, you tell me, just that part, you tell me somebody that's put up with that much stuff in the United States. They haven't. Let's continue. Afro-Zionists. This is technically the key to success. Of course, belief in Allah and all that. Non-violent resistance. Non-violent resistance for the 21st century. Do you know people still don't understand what we've been working toward with nonviolent resistance? We try to explain. We said, now, you didn't know that the civil rights workers were trained. They had other people spit on them and hit them upside the head, all that. They went through the training before they couldn't go, Woolworths just the way they was. They had to be trained. I tell them, my friends, everybody, I said, I trained myself to deal with that stuff because there's only 1 or 2 ways they can come. And if you're successful non-violently already, if you haven't fallen for girls, if you haven't fallen for dope, the police come, the feds, they come. Yeah, you wanted to run the whole country and say, you can have that. Old dream. So no, I ain't selling no dope to nobody. Well, it's good and that. I said, man, y'all get out of here. Nobody want to sell no dope. Who sent you here anyway? Let's see your FBI thing. Well, it's unofficial, but I mean, it's an unofficial police. There's something there. So, they ain't got you in girls. You do 14, 15 years celibate when you juiced up, you know what I mean? When you young and running them hills, that's not bad. And everybody watching you, if you were to pull anything, they would know. They watching. Nobody can do that. No, you just focus on doing what you're doing, so you're not even paying no attention hardly. Because you're focused on the work. The work is more important than getting married. It ain't more important to them, but it's more important to you. So the key is nonviolent resistance. That's Martin Luther King and all those people to the hilt. But it's technically our call from the Quran. Yeah.
So nonviolent resistance and Tazkiyah bil-Nafs.
Yeah, nonviolent resistance is our favorite ayat. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than one that calls people to Allah, work righteous deeds, and say, I'm a Muslim? And then these people, tastawi, or equal, they don't equalize bad for bad. They return good for evil. The people, that's what La Tatraba is. The people technically do us bad, although it's not bad, it's good because that's what we wanted. We arranged it. But for them, they're trying to do as much harm as they can. But we're returning in every case good for evil. The people can't fathom that. They can't fathom that. And technically, I had to remind myself, that's why in the paper I gave you all the other day, it's a reminder. Basically, kindness is not weakness. It's a strength. I have to remind, in those days, I still had to remind myself. It's not nowadays, it's then. Let's say that's 15 years ago. Shoot, 15 years ago, I was going through, what was I dealing with? Some of the talks was out, whether chemical, psychological, physical. I'm going to win this one. This is what I was. Whether it's psychological stuff. Chemical, that means putting stuff in you. All that stuff, see, all that stuff happens. All that stuff happens. Chemical to divert you or do anything. It's chemical warfare. It's psychochemical warfare. It just hasn't worked. It's a thing. I think the mind can be manipulated in certain ways, but if the ethics is strong enough, it ain't gonna have no effect. But the ethics have to be nailed in stone. Yes, they do. And if that's true, you're home free. Okay. The other thing is underestimation. They always underestimate the Negro. That's been one of the great gifts all this time. I'm not saying I'm 74 years old here for that reason, but I am 74, and we believe that there's been a process going on. We didn't get him now, we get him the next one. We get him the next one. You can't get past that one. And they keep, all of a sudden, they are there. That's the way Mukhtar and Khadijah is. The next one gonna get him. And now, that poor fellow's out there where the boss gotta do something to him. Boss man can't leave him. Imagine that. Can boss man leave him out there running around free? And he knows who the tattletales is here, who the tattletale is there. They ain't, hey, can't do it. Can't do it. That's their rule. So that's why I tell everybody, I almost holler at people, stay out of my business. Stay out of my business. You know, I said it took me 35 years to get this thing set up. That's probably the door. But anyway, we know what we're doing. We know what we've arranged. So we telling people, we don't want you to come in here and spoil our arrangement by doing something stupid. So they always underestimated us. Now, it's time to clown the Zionists, to make fun of the Zionists, to make a fool out of them. They are stupid fools and idiots. And the more they mess with Kingfish and lightning and all them niggas bowled up in one, the funnier it is. Y'all don't remember them guys. Amos and Andy? You never saw Amos and Andy? I don't know. A lot of people, they said, fat, snobby people, they would say, them old coons. But it's the funniest thing I ever seen. In those days, Amos and Andy, Andrew H. Brown, and the Kingfish, and all of that crew, Lightning, they was, you talking about funny. But see, they had certain game. That's a long story. Even though it was comedy, even though it was Hollywood, they had some serious game. But if you wasn't from a certain era, you would never pick it up. The people, you have to stop and go back and tell them, boss man, I just did you this, that, another. And then he knows. So we have to clown them. That's what we're doing right now. We're clowning them. We're making fun of them. They deserve to be made fun of. That's the best treatment, is laugh at them. You scare everybody else. You run everybody else around the block. You can't run us around the block. You can't do nothing to us. That's what we're telling them right now. Oh, your old Zionist looking self, trying to be bad. They ain't bad. They just pick on weaklings and cowards. People are scared. But you can't whoop nobody grown. If you was, you'd have whooped somebody, you'd be whooping people now. Who's in the driver's seat now, boss man? Think about it. We are. Well, you haven't did a lot of things we haven't done, but look what we're doing. We're just cruising, hopefully to paradise. We're cruising. Yes, the setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback in our own time, in our own way. And we know it's going to strike. There's enough material for a minimum of 3 books just in the last several years. This will be the most investigated. This will be the most investigated period. Institution, us. Yeah. That's our goal. They try to cut us off and isolate us? Absolutely not. No. In time, we will be the most researched group in America during this time, and the best lessons will be picked up from us. Because we done picked up all the game. You know, 3 or 4 women can, in 3 or 4 weeks, hustle up no million women's march, right? And the woman is, the Muslim woman, you ain't never even seen her before, hardly. That's right. Now you see her now, and then everybody is stopping by our place and just so happy to see us, right? I said, this is rare. So maybe somebody told them to stop by. And then here come a homeboy with a communist red star. I said, hey man, this is really something. I asked him about so-and-so, a few people. I said, oh, you don't know that? No, we're such and such a group. I said, oh, okay. You're a private communist. You're not a government communist, I know. Walking down the street with a damn red star with a Russian hat on. The red star. You know that? It's not advertising, it's insane. What communist would do that? I guess you could tell I was having a good time out there. I know that was all bullcrap from Jump Street. I could holler, spin, dance around. They could, yeah, thank you, thank you. So this blistering attack on Zionism, we used to call it selling wolf tickets. That's what we're doing. We're selling wolf tickets to this joker. We're talking about how bad you are and what you gonna do. Well, come get us then, if you so bad. No, you're gonna go run after some scaredy cat over there. That you're gonna go run after Care or somebody. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Well, we ain't sorry. You are a low-down, rotten, double-dealing Zionist. Your policy from Theodore Herzl is Zionism. Your behavior steals, robs, and murders Palestinians. Your policy of building homes is a robbery of Palestinian land. That's what that is. Yeah, that's what that is. So you're a robber, a thief, and you're a murderer. And you're going around scaring the people to death. You ought to stop scaring them people. They scared enough already. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Do you know the first sign that was took down in Oakland? That sign. The sign we had outside of our building, just the sign was bad. The Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. And they wanted to know what that was. And they actually come to the meeting. They got one article, radical group tries to branch out. So later on, you can probably remember some of the program, I said, branch out. I said, we done already knocked you, boss man. I said, psychological warfare. I said, as I remember, 10 people came to that program in Oakland. 10 people. I said, but y'all put it on your website. You got 300,000, Steve Emerson, another. I said, about 25% of the people watching and looking at your website. I said, so Muslims, you got us. Everybody in America know who we are. They might play like they don't, but I bet you everybody know who we are. They just know from the old pictures and stuff. Imam Musa, that's bad news there, let's go. Right? Exactly. So we got the white man, the Jews. Just at the title, Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare was the warfare, the name. So he had to come out, we gotta get that. And they came and they was trying to beat me up and talk about me, and all I was doing was just getting more and more popular. More and more popular. So I said, boss man, if you take the police and tell him to pull out his gun and shoot himself in the head, what would that be? I said, it's psychological warfare. You have him use his own weapon against himself. I said, we didn't have no, what's the name? We ain't got no CD, I mean, we ain't got no websites to put out. There's a few people, 10 people watched, right? I said, we thank y'all very much for putting us smack dab on 2 of them, the Terrorist Watch and another one. They probably had it on, no, they had them on plenty of them. They had them on, they was passing out some for, I'll think of the name of it.
Third Jihad. Was it Third Jihad?
Third Jihad. They had, that's right. They passed out 28 million. 28 million CDs or DVDs. Boy, look at here. That's a lot of money. They distributed 28, that's what they said. 28 million. Yeah, the third jihad wasn't too bad, but the first 2 was when they tried to do a little harm. But yeah, that's the name of third jihad. I consider these people the Zionists. You know, did you ever see The Wizard of Oz? This is little guy in the back of this big microphone, you know, with this big voice, a godly voice. That's the way the Zionists are. Little old silly people back there. That's the way they are. They just like the Wizard of Oz. Back there scaring people. So where are we now, before we close? I believe we're in the driver's seat. We believe that right now, if everything stopped in its tracks, this would still be the biggest contribution to the movement during this period. What's already happened. What's already happened. But it's a miracle of endurance, survival. It's just a miracle. This miracle comes from Allah. It's not that we practice in so much Islam. It's that we're doing everything in the name of Allah, by the assistance of Allah, with the help of Allah. That's what we're doing. That's why a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback. That's a good one. Yeah, great recovery. That's 7 years ago. This is a good one. This is all the brothers here. Have a good stuff. This is a good poster. But you gotta watch the dirty tricks. Look on the other side. Major Nidal Hassan. How was he tricked? He was a psychological officer. He was handling all the people come back from Iraq. They're telling him what he did to they're telling him, we did this in Iraq. We did this to women. We did this to people. And he went off. They knew what they was doing. They would never have a major who's a Muslim supposedly on a website with Anwar. Victimized, human target of modern science fiction style psychological warfare. That's our brother. Infiltrated and trapped, sabotaged, assassinated. That's our homeboy right there. Obama, positioned as the first Afro-Zionist president, also known as Bush III, also known as Judas Goat. Y'all know what a Judas Goat is? No, a Judas Goat. They have a Judas Goat. He might usually have a bell or something on. He bring all the other goats into the pen. And as a trapdoor, he goes out the trapdoor and he brought all the goats, other goats there for slaughter. That's called a Judas Goat. That's what they call it, a Judas Goat. He bring all the other goats, that's his job, to bring them all into the pen for slaughter. And that's our homeboy. We said it right away. Now you got to remember, we didn't say this way back when. When was this thing? This is 2010, yeah. Hey. Positioned as the first Afro-Zionist president. Also known as Bush III. Also known as Judas Goat. And then it has a Muslim right here. Oppressed, invaded, set up, ruled by Western puppets, waterboarded, kidnapped, illegally held in detention, targeted, killing, 60 years of living in refugee camps. The list goes on. The list goes on. Now, for us, what would be wrong with a nice school like this? One thing about it, all these kids, no matter what, they love school to this minute. They're all either in college or schools, and they're doing fine. Okay. So, all of this courage, courageous, bravery, boldness, valor, gallantry, doing without witness that which we would be capable of doing before everyone. That's Rothschild, something like that. Doing without witness, doing it privately. Whatever it is you're doing. But you're doing what common people would be able to do if they were under the eye of others. If people was watching them, they would act brave because they might as well, right? But you're acting brave without nobody knowing. That's real bravery. So anyway, dear believers, I will go over this last one here. Victory of Islam over the Shah and victory of Masjid al-Islam over the combined forces of American Zionism. Over combined forces of American Zionism. I've read this before, but here's what we say. Imam Musa will inshallah share case study after case study on how to practice psychological guerrilla warfare. This is years ago we didn't say this. We're going to show that's what we could have taught it then, but this is on now another 5 years after this one. That's what it's all about. Case studies, you know, case studies in books. A case study of McDonald's, how they managed this. A case study of anybody. That's what we have been doing. Imam Musa will inshallah share case study after case study. That's what we've been doing here on how to practice psychological guerrilla warfare. College of Strategic and Islamic Studies will give you hands-on experience on how to make U.S. agents and collaborators expose themselves. That has happened big time. To make tattletales, that's the whole idea, College of Strategic and Islamic Studies. First-hand experience on how to make U.S. agents and collaborators expose themselves. Unbelievable. It's all kind of weird. I remember I was here before, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I told one guy about how in Iran, the ulama, the Shah used to set up people all the time. So he would have one island with turban on and everything, and they would send him in. He was supposed to be getting tortured. They would just scrape him and everything like that, and then they'd have him all patched up. You would think he was tortured almost to death, being there hollering and everything. And then the other believers would think this is a good guy. 2 weeks later, one of our people came up with, anyway, this stuff is so, special session on design fitna, what it is and how it works. The more victories Masjid al-Islam attains against American Zionist institution, the angrier its former administrators become. Why do the Negroes, you treat boss man bad, that ain't good. That's unbelievable. They get madder, because you know the Negro, if you treat the master bad, boss man, you ought not to take that from that nigga. I remember there was one, what was it, Sambo, I guess his name. This was Uncle Tom's Cabin, but it was a different one. the lady was running across, getting away from slavery on the ice, and Sambo was getting ready to shoot her. And boss man said, "Fool, you don't shoot property. Right? If you shoot her, she's gonna die, stupid." But Sambo, I guess that's what he got. Sambo, boss, let me at that nigga, boss man. I'll show you. Calling you all them names, trying to make a fool out of you, got all the world laughing at you. Boss man, you don't deserve that kind of treatment. That's the way the Negro feels.
You know, you just reminded me of Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, it was black people who, when she went to prison,
right,
or went to jail,
right,
the boss man had black people whoop her.
Yeah. That's why you have to think about all those people. If they didn't have love for the people, they wouldn't make it. They would get mad. They would get mad. And then they would say, "Why am I working for these niggas? They whooping me and everything." No, they're not whooping you, they're helping you. The last one is, you can see Dawood Weiss. Yeah, that's, I can put it up closer. That's the rabbi. That's the same rabbi, remember? He said, "This is our friend."
Right.
You know why he said that? Because I've been knowing him 35 and 40 years. Natura Karte, I'll close with this. I went to a program at UC Davis in '85. And it was a anti-Zionist program. All the Arabs and everybody, the Iranians, was worried. Look at all these smart Jews in the audience. And they had a flyer about all the good things that Jews had done. So they was worried about me. Am I in too deep? I took that flyer, I read it. I said when Mussolini was tear gassing people in Ethiopia and they asked to join the Zionist Congress, they told them to go to hell. And I went on down the list, then I threw the list out in the audience and they said, "Oh my God." You know, the other time I close with this. That's why I know that they love Zionists. And they don't like people that hoop Zionists. In UCLA, old Rabbi Kain, whatever his name was, he was, I was talking. So I said, yeah, I said Benjamin Hooks in 1978, I said he sued the NAACP, the Jewish legal arm, because the Jews was getting all of it. I said Benjamin Hooks sued him. I said, "Isn't that right, Rabbi? Didn't he sue him?" I was harassing the rabbi. The rabbi got so mad, he ran up there, "You a hater. You a hater." I said, "Rabbi, sit your butt down." He turned right around and went and sat down. I said, "This is going to be any fool acting up here, it's going to be me." Now, that was the second time. At Berkeley, it was almost as bad. So, that ain't nothing. So, I was sitting at the table answering questions. So, one Jew, he said, one person said, he was asking Ahmed Shammah, he was controlling the program, "What does A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitani Rajim mean?" And he didn't answer. He kept right on. So the guy asked 3 times. He said, what does A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim mean? He says, it means I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. He said, that man talking about me is Satan. Now, this guy is Iranian. I know all the good Iranians. And the Munafiqs, I know all of them. But he's clearly an Iranian. I say, I seek refuge in Allah from people coming in here pretending to be Muslim, but they are Jew. You're a Jew. And you know what? All the Jews, kids was crying. They was crying real tears. And some of the Muslims said they were crying. I said, so what? That's good. They supposed to. They make us cry all the time, beating us upside the head, stealing our property. They was sympathetic. That's why I knew they was police, because they was sympathetic for the Jews. They didn't want to see them humiliated that bad. Now, if it was me, I would have said, bring that nigga around any time for the Jews, right? Because he got a special thing for Jews. He whoops them all the time. He never lost a battle with Jews. In Berkeley, it was the same. It was called a Triangle of Terror. South Africa, but then it was South Africa, the United States, and Israel. Same Triangle of Terror. And they had a Negro with them. And he asked a few questions. I said, brother, you got to get back with your folks, man. You don't need to be with these people here. And you got to get back home. And you sitting up here with all these people, or you trying to get an education or something? What they going to give you, some kind of fundamental shift or something? What's wrong with you? But anyway, are there any questions or comments? Dear believers, oh, the other side. That's Rabbi Weiss, but look at the other side. That's Imam Musa. You can't hardly see me right here, right? That's me. They just darkened me up where you can't hardly tell. This is Rabbi Weiss on this side. And this is a revival of Islam. Global revival of Islam. That's me right there. Yep. That's Justice Week, it was called. Imam Musa. So when these people talk about all of them running around, I've talked to these brothers he's from Hungary, really. And some of these people got them tattoos on them, and I asked them questions about, simple questions, you know, but they still deep. I said, hey man, we make wudu. Do you guys wash before you, before you pray? He said, yeah. He said, in Poland during the Black Death, he said, didn't hardly any of us die because we washed. He said, they thought we was putting it on them, so they got us. I was killed. No, that's what them programs they call them. They really are. But these Jews are pro-Palestinian, and in every Hasidic community almost in Palestine, when you go to their place, you know what you see? Palestinian flags. So, there's no more questions or comments? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.